This is the final event of day 2 at the Fittest Experience 2024, the 16th edition of the Fittest Experience. We're in Taylor, Texas at the Williamson County Expo Center. I'm Brian Friend. Thank you guys for being with us. This is the pro team division, male, male, female, female. The event is called Heavy Bag, Heavy Rope. Their heavy bag happens to be a worm that weighs 200 pounds. We got a 4-round workout. There will only ever be 3 athletes working on the worm at a time. The 4th athlete will be doing 70 heavy rope single unders with that 10-foot, 16-pound, 1.5-inch diameter rope that you see on the ground behind them. Team SDA overall leaders just took a 3rd place on the previous event that happened 4 minutes ago. They'll be right there with the mostly green shirts on. This is Team ABC. Came into the day in a podium position, battling for one. Salty Hive in all black tonight. Also, we're in a podium position to start the day. Just had a struggle on inverse, but they really have a lot of experience on the worm and we'll be looking to capitalize here. This is Team Density. They're defending champs. They've been surging today. They should do well on this. Barring that heavy rope in the background, which is a little bit of an unknown for everyone. Here's Team Alpha Claims coming off a top 5 finish on inverse. Next to them, Lone Star CrossFit red. Their counterparts, Lone Star CrossFit black. Have the time to beat on this at 6:19. And SoCal Hotties will close out the heat here on the far side of the floor.
They got 15 of them, 30-foot worm lunge. While one athlete is working through that heavy rope, 70 of them.
The workout is 4 rounds for time. 15 synchro burpees over the worm with the 3 athletes, and then a 30-foot lunge. The field is 60 feet long, so we'll do 30 feet going down, another 30 going down, and then in rounds 3 and 4 will be 30 coming back and 30 coming back to where they finish. 10-minute time cap. The 4th athlete will have 70 single unders with that heavy rope. See a double jump there for SoCal Hotties, but she is using that overhand grip that we've seen Brent Bukowski amongst some other games athletes use with the heavy handle. As far as the athletes on the worm, several of them, all of them now getting their hands on it, and they'll have to lunge until the back athlete gets across the maroon line in the middle of the floor. It is Salty Hive who appears to be doing that first. They stand it up, drop it, and turn around, and their female athlete is done, and they tag it out and send one of the male athletes back there. No mandate on who does what in terms of rounds on the jump rope. Everyone just must do the single unders once. You cannot have anyone do it twice. So it looks like it's pretty tight to call, but Salty Hive was out front. Several other teams getting to work there at the same time on the 2nd round. I think we'll likely see the separation start to happen in round number 3. 70 single unders for the 4th athlete in the back with that heavy rope. Again, it's 10 feet long. All athletes have the same rope. You can choke up on it as much as you want. It weighs 16 pounds, 1.5 inches in diameter. It's a rope that you would climb on at your gym back home. They're doing single unders with it, and they are harder than you think. The rest of the team, 15 burpees over the worm, and then a 30-foot lunge. 200 pounds is the weight of the worm. Clever workout design here. The 3-person teams use these and the 4-person teams because only 3 are doing it at a time. Okay, Salty Hive continuing to lead. Far side of the floor is SDA and ABC, so that's your 1, 2, 3, and then comes Team Density. SoCal Hotties a little out of sync there getting started. Salty Hive making the switch again. SoCal Hotties drops the bag. Leaders on the other side of the floor will migrate down to that side. This is Lone Star CrossFit Red making their way towards the finish round of round number 2. There's Team Alpha Claims doing the same. Synchro burpees here. These are the top 4 teams. There is Team Density. Getting down and dirty in the dirt, no problem. Here's Salty Hives, the current leaders in the heat. ABC forced to wait on their double under athlete, as is SDA, falling off the pace of Density and Salty Hive. And we mentioned that as long as your athletes were good on the rope, they would come down to the worm. But if even one of them struggled, you lose that time there. And that has happened for both SDA and ABC, who are in the foreground, the two teams closest to us. Just like that, Salty Hive picks it up again. They've led from the first round and increased that lead in every round. Jordan, Courtney, and Trish on the worm there. Justin still working on the rope. Team Density picks it up, a little out of sync as they get started. One more rep for Justin. They'll make the switch, so the fourth athlete heads to the rope. And their final trio will work on the 15 synchro burpees and 30-foot worm lunge. Density drops it off, but their female athlete's still working on the rope for the single unders, and she finishes them up. So we got a couple burpee lead here for Salty Hive over Density. The burpee rate and lunge rate doesn't seem to be the deciding factor. It really comes down to that person on the rope, and as I say that, you can see there, Marco Coppola in the all-white is cranking through those single unders as if these are a walk in the park. I do think that saving your best athlete for last on this is a clever strategy because those jump ropes are hard, and after the fatigue of the burpees and the lunge, they're only going to get harder. Now, Salty Hive's female athlete is not doing a bad job with her jump ropes. It's just that Marco's about as good as we've seen from anyone today. ABC dumps off the worm. They're in third place, and they make the switch. Far side of the floor with no shirt on is Lone Star Red, but I believe they're around behind. Salty Hive and Density both pick the worm up at the same time and are lunging to the finish. Jump ropers are done, so this is going to be for the event win, and Salty Hive, who is last in the heat on inverse, is going to run to the finish and take the heat win here. Time on the clock is 5:22. That's a full minute ahead of the time to beat from the first heat. So Salty Hive will take first, Team Density will take a second, and Team Density is going to be threatening for that overall lead depending on how Team SDA does here in the foreground in the mostly green attire. It's a battle behind those two teams pulled way ahead. 4 teams here, SDA and ABC closest to us. And then Alpha Claims and SoCal Hotties on the far side of the floor are all in the same interval. Hand up in the air for ABC on the burpees. We'll check in with the jump ropes when it comes down to it. But ABC's male athlete says, give me a second. And he's walking it off. Sometimes these athletes make it look so easy. It's nice to see the human side of them once in a while. They do need breaks every so often, as most of us do. ABC does now have it up. Their male athlete waving them in is done there. So as long as they don't have any issues with the worm, they can lock up a third in the heat, but that 6:19 time has already passed by from Lone Star Black. And on the far side of the floor, SoCal Hotties is lunging and trying to race him down. Amador Ortega is done with his jump ropes as well. So it's this run to the finish that's going to matter. ABC will get across third in the heat, at least fourth overall. SoCal Hotties will run to the finish. A nice pair of workouts for them, which should cement them in the top 5. And SDA, closest to us, and Alpha Claims are in a battle here, and nobody will want Alpha Claims to get in faster relative to SDA than Team Density. And here they go. And it's the last athlete that counts, and it should be Alpha Claims by about a second or two over SDA. Valuable points for both Salty Hive and Density relative to SDA there in that battle for the overall position. Last team on the floor in this heat, 2.5 minutes to the time cap. That's Lone Star Red. And you don't see this too often with athletes doing burpees facing different directions. One of the female athletes here. Time cap. Jump rope is done. Bag is up. Lone Star Red. 30-foot lunge to the finish line. Bonus coverage here. The judge practicing on that heavy rope. 90 seconds in the time gap. We did get several teams time gap in the first week, but this will still be a 2 minute. There we go. Boom. Great stuff. Okay. Hey, Shay. Marco.
You mean the backbone again?
You did that jump rope like it was a regular rope, dude.
You're good at jumping rope when you're heavier than everybody else.
Was that the idea? Save the best guy for last on that rope?
Yeah, that was, the idea was to do at the end when you're like the most, like anchor, like running a 4x4.
Sure.
You want to have somebody at the end that can pick it up if you have to. And they did a good job. They got done.
Yeah, it wasn't like anyone was bad.
No.
You were just exceptionally
I
good
just
at
did
that.
all of them like without double bouncing or anything.
Yeah,
it was honestly fun.
I think those were a good pair of workouts for you.
Actually, I don't think so. Honestly, the first one is probably handstand push-ups are probably the biggest weakness for our girls. Is honestly, so like do damage control in that one was good. So this one, honestly, I wish the worm was heavier. Like we want a real worm.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a real worm. This is like a
even with
meal
3
worm.
people using it, you prefer the heavier one.
It's 200 pounds. Me and Casey would rather do that worm by ourselves.
Gotcha.
And without the 3 people getting in the way. Not to be mean, but like if that was a real worm, I think it would impact people a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
well, great stuff either way.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a fight tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see.